Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This week's show, we're talking about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Call of the Night Season 1, Episode 4. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Well, first and foremost, we open up with Akira at school, and, we don't get a lot of her everyday life at school, so it's hard to say, she had talked about it last episode with Ko that she was kind of bored with school life to some extent, like with other aspects of her life, so she kind of wanted Ko to come back to school so they could hang out and stuff. But she was hearing her teacher talk about one of the students being like, oh, I stayed up all night playing video games, and it's like, hey, you need to kind of have a healthy sleep schedule as a youngster, because once you get older, that's going to be an issue, which I'm currently having issues with my sleep. Well, I've gotten back on a decent enough sleep schedule, but my sleep schedule was all kinds of jacked up recently for the past couple of weeks or so, probably a week and a half. But either way, essentially, it's like once you become an adult, you're going to basically be staying up all night just because of work and just adult life in general. So you might as well try and give yourself a decent enough schedule now so that you can follow it into adulthood, so that you're not scrambling to try and make one. Because if it's screwed up as a child, going into adulthood, you're screwed. So Akira goes home, and obviously, we find out she hasn't been sleeping well lately either. So she ends up kind of strolling around at night after she wakes up at midnight, a little before midnight. And I'm curious, did she go out with the intent of hoping to run into Ko because she knows he's out and about at night? Which Ko, talks about, hey, I'm getting better at sneaking out. And he's like, oh, I'm curious to see where Nazuna ends up. But then he thought about the kiss from last episode, and he's like, oh boy. And he finds her at the park waiting for him. But it's for one, it's kind of interesting that she decided to pick a location, even though every other time it was I got to scramble to try and find you. But now it's oh, you're in a central location, an easy location. But it's I'm actually going to kind of avoid you because I don't know what kind of face to make in front of her. Because he's trying to figure out, he's the fact is, that was our lips touch. So he's that was a kiss, right? So, and now he's thinking to himself, wait, does that mean Nazuna likes me? Is that what that's about? He's or am I completely wrong about this? He just legitimately has no answer for it. So I love that he runs into those three guys who were continuously drinking, and they're watching a couple kiss. And I love that they're hey, oh, that's so cool seeing that happen in public. Hey, let's go get more drinks while we talk about them kissing. I'm why is that a subject you have to go out of your way? We'll use this as a starting off point for our continued drinking, rather, because they were already drinking. I love that that's just their purpose in the story. Hey, here's these characters. They're still drinking. Let's go give them some more drinking. But the whole thing for Ko, it's the first time he'd ever seen a couple kissing in person. So now he's wait, if that does mean kissing means a couple, it's wait, that means they're in love. So that means Nazuna is in love with me. But he's first and foremost, that means I'm in love with her. He's yes, I did it, yeah, oh yeah. And then Nazuna tracks him down, and he's so proud of himself. He's Nazuna, come on, go ahead, take a bite. She's oh my god, stop it with the lewd pose. He's I've accomplished my goal. I'm totally in love with you. She's you are? He's uh-huh. And it's yeah, it finally happened. He's so excited. He's walking towards her. He's yes. I'm surprised he didn't. He took a step back out of nervousness, but then he walked forward. I thought this was going to be part of the story where it's oh, his dream is becoming a reality, so he'd kind of back down. But it's no, he stepped forward. He's finally, the boring life and school and the debate of cost between, day and night. I don't have to be caught up in that, bullcrap anymore. I get to just, embrace my new life as a vampire, the new me. And she drinks his blood. He's am I one now? She's no, you idiot. And he's wait, why didn't it work? And she's let me guess. You thought just because of the kiss that you and me were you were in love with me. It's not. It was lust. She's the fact is, you can't completely separate lust and love, but they can be mutually exclusive, but sometimes they're not always. But in this case, it is a mutually exclusive thing. You were lusting after me. You weren't in love with me. I know him being wait, I was just aroused. And she was yeah, do you want to go for another one? And he was oh my god, how can you say that? You're so awful. That was my first ever kiss. Did it mean nothing to you? And she's really? He was yeah, I bet you've had a whole bunch of it. And she's actually, it was my first two. And he's really? Cause she's oh, it's no big deal. A kiss is nothing between friends, which I'm I don't know if she's saying that just to let Ko's guard down, or whether she's maybe Ko isn't the only one that has his misconceptions about like love and feelings and stuff like that. Maybe even not. I'm sure she probably doesn't have much experience either, and maybe she does, and she's playing coy with him. I don't know. It's unclear, but she made it seem like, oh, that's not between friends, but it's like, no, a kiss between even friends is pretty significant, and you're just like, yeah, it kind of definitely implies there's something there, but either that's, like I said, her just, because I'm curious, like, how does she feel about, like, making Ko a vampire? She has no interest in, like, giving birth to other vampires, so I'm wondering if, like, she placates a lot of this stuff because she secretly likes hanging out with Ko, but she doesn't want to jeopardize it. Just like any friendship where I'm like, I like where things are. I don't want to complicate things by being romantic, because us being romantic means, like, you'll become a vampire, and I don't want that. I want you to stay one, but doesn't. I don't know, because maybe she's afraid, like, if she tells him the truth of, I don't want you to become a vampire, he'll, like, avoid being around her, and she likes hanging with him. Once again, I could be throwing a lot there. It could just be a thing of, no, I mean, she loves tasting his blood, and, I mean, we don't know what the vampire on vampire rules is, because in some fictions, that's not a thing. It tastes like nothing. You're not getting substance. So, like, if Ko becomes a vampire, there's no more sucking his blood anymore. I mean, once again, depending on how it works in this fiction, vampire lore. Why? So it could be a thing of she also doesn't want to miss out on his delicious blood, because she says, like, time and time again that he's got the tastiest blood she's ever had. So, but on his way to meet up with Nazuna, like the next night or a different night, he ends up running into Akira, and Akira's talking about, like, oh, he should have a decent sleep schedule. And it's like, well, shouldn't you, considering you're going to school and stuff? And he's like, oh, hey, why don't you actually hang out with me and Nazuna? And they're just in her place playing video games. At first, they're playing Street Fighter. And then they play another game, which is, what was it? Doki Doki, was it the Swim Club or something like that? Which I was like, wait, is that supposed to be is that supposed to be an homage to the Doki Doki Literature Club? I don't know if that was what that was supposed to be a reference, like whether that was supposed to be kind of because that is, I was about to say dating sim. It's a pseudo dating. I mean, it's a visual novel, but I'm like, I don't know if it was like, I don't know if you consider that like a dating sim, because it's secretly a horror sim from what I know of Doki Doki Literature Club. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if that was meant to be an homage to that or not. But they were straight up playing Street Fighter, and it has a different name, but that was definitely color and design. I'm like, that was essentially a PlayStation. But Akira's actually surprised, because she's like, wow, this is actually pretty normal. She's like, I expected them to be doing something lewd, but she's kind of nice, happy, knowing like, oh, it's not really weird happening between Ko and her. It's actually really sweet and wholesome that they're just hanging out and playing video games. But the next game they played was the dating sim, and I love that it's like, oh, you have, well, I love that. So I guess Nazuna's not the biggest fan of harems, because she's like, wait, what fun is this that all the girls immediately start liking the protagonist? Like, where's the romance in that? I guess she's perfectly fine with a harem, probably not, but it's like, why start off with everyone liking a person? Like, for her, it's like that kind of ruins some of the romance. It's like you kind of have to build up to someone liking them, because it's so interesting, because she gets bashful about romance, but I think it's also because she's very romantical herself, and she has her own notion of what romance is. It's like, no, to really like someone, you have to build up to it. You can't just like someone out of nowhere. Like, no, you got to build up to it, because maybe she's very classic in like her thoughts and portrayal of romance. But I also love Ko, that even though he's playing a video game, they're like, hey, let's go to school. He was like, no thanks. She's like, Jesus, it's even in video games you're avoiding going to school, because he's like, why would I go? And it's like, obviously for RPG purposes, it's like, it's one of those games where like, this is one of the choices that doesn't matter. It's like the illusion of choice of, hey, like, I'm not going to go to school. It's like, no, you're not, like, unless this was a permeation of, hey, you legitimately can avoid going to school, or whether it's a thing of it gives you an automatic game over because you went down a bad route. But it's like, no, there's just certain beats that the game has to go through and progress. So even if you say no, you get different dialogue, but the end result is still you're getting dragged off to school. And then he bumps into another girl, and then Nazuna's takeaway is like, yo, do you like girls with big tits and they don't talk a lot? Which you're immediately like, is that supposed to be her winking and nodding to the fact is Akira's kind of like that? Because that's kind of Ko and Akira's shtick. But he's kind of like, and then she starts using a different word instead of like tits. She's kind of like using a more classy word because she's like, ooh, it's more erotic that way. But he's like, boobs don't, it doesn't really matter. It's kind of what he was trying to say. I don't remember if they did the laying down thing first. I believe they did because it's like, oh, let's kind of lay down because it's like 4 o'clock in the morning. And then they lay down and she's like, wait, why are we all like squeezed together like this? This is so uncomfortable. This is so weird. I think then the whole like her biting Ko's neck and it's kind of like being done in front of Akira. It might have happened before they laid down together. But Akira's like, whoa, why are you doing that in front of me? And Nazuna's doing it just to tease Akira because she knows Akira's like not really a prude but a little bit of a prude, which is funny because it's like once again she gets off on like her like lewd jokes and stuff like that, and kind of basically Ko finally breaks it down about what the whole thing is. It's like because they try to say like, oh, it's a supply and demand thing. I love that it's like Nazuna's like supply and then Ko's like demand, and they bump fists together to kind of say like that's why the whole like Nazuna drinking Ko's blood. It's like, yeah, like Ko's blood is very delicious to her, and Ko ultimately reveals to her like, I want to become a vampire. And Akira's like, oh, okay, that's cool. And he's just like, cool. I appreciate the way you kind of went about how you. She said it in a very like not judgmental way, or at least tried not to say it in a judgmental way. But I'm surprised she wasn't she wasn't judgmental like I thought I thought she'd have more of an issue with it. But for her, it's like, hey, you're talking about your dreams. She's like, you've never really been the type to talk about your dreams ever, really, right? And but then like it's like but she's like, yeah, she's drinking your blood, so that means you're become a vampire, right? It's already happened. He's like, well, this is the rub of it all. Not only does she need to drink my blood, but it has to be after I've fallen in love with her. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make her fall for me. And then like Nazuna's twisting and turning and steam is coming off of her because she's so embarrassed. And it's like, what's that about? He's like, oh yeah, she can do all that stuff and finds it funny to talk about lewd stuff, but the moment you talk about romance, she gets super embarrassed, which Akira's like, isn't that a little counterintuitive of like what you're trying to head towards? He's like, yeah, I know. It's what complicates things. But either way, they start laying down together, which Akira can't go to sleep. But I do think it's this interesting conversation that they have where she's happy to know Ko's doing okay, and he realizes like, yo, you've been worried about me, right? That's why he's like made it an excuse for them to all hang out, because he's like, I want to show you what I was up to at night because I know you've probably been worried about me. And she's like, I have, but I'm glad to see that you're doing okay. And for her, it's a thing of like, yo, you can let your hands down. You don't have to be so stressed out. Like, even if you accidentally touch me, I'm perfectly okay with that. The fact is that, you know, no matter what happens, even if you become a vampire, it won't. We can still be friends, right? She's like, because proof of concept is you're a human right now, yet you're still friends with Nazuna. So I think we can still remain friends. She's even suggesting like, I'm glad you get to have fun and you're enjoying life and working your way towards becoming a vampire, but maybe someday you'll come back to school too. Because for her, it's like, you know, things will be more fun that way if he's there, because she had fun at night. And, you know, it's raining outside, so she was just going to close her eyes. Well, she wasn't even planning to, because she's like, right, I'm not sleepy. Obviously, she wakes up late. Who knows if she was late for school, but the rain's already stopped. She fell asleep for a couple hours. But Nazuna kind of teases her a little bit by like, oh, the fact is you went to sleep must mean that your day was satisfying, was it? And then Akira doesn't know, but it's like, because the reason why it's kind of like, once again, the whole premise of, you stay up all night because the day wasn't satisfied. And for Akira, it's like her day wasn't satisfied because she was worried about Ko, but she also wanted to hang out with him. And now knowing like what his life is, she feels a little better. So I wonder if her sleep schedule will go back to normal going forward, because she won't be worried about Ko. We'll see each other maybe from time to time, maybe if you ever decide to come back to school, but I won't push for it, but I will hope that you'll come back. And I will every once in a while kind of, you know, suggest to try and drag you back to school. But it is kind of satisfying for her. Where it's like, oh, I got to have a little fun and kind of let go a little bit, considering like my day is pretty like routine and boring. I don't get to have as much fun, but I did get to have fun at night. So I just thought it was kind of a nice continuation of things to see, you know, where things with Ko and Akira are. And he's also, you know, told her what his goal is, and she doesn't judge him. In fact, she supports it. I even love initially she was like, yeah, I want to support you and everything, but like you hanging out with this obscene monster, it kind of makes it kind of hard. I'm like, she's so harsh when it comes to Nazuna. I love that. But like I said, I think some of that kind of waned at least a little bit, because it's like she recognizes how important this is to Ko, and Nazuna is some. It's like, yeah, my friends being friends, it's kind of a nice thing. So I'm excited to ultimately see where the next episode ends up taking us going forward with all of this. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.